too long, her stories have been buried, and her truth edited by a world that feared her power. You're listening to Sovereign Reality with Natalie. We are here to unearth the goddess because her story is your story, and her rise is your reclamation. This is about you, authentically and fully you, recognizing your own divinity and stepping back onto your throne. Because the world doesn't need you quiet, babe.
Boss ass bitch. Boss bitch. Boss ass.
Welcome back, beautiful soul, to Sovereign Reality with Natalie, the space where women come home to their power, their voice, and their divine inheritance. This season, we're doing something new, something deeper. We're weaving goddess retellings and yogic philosophy, myth and reclamation, divinity, and everyday life. And we're kicking off season 2 with one of my absolute favorites, a goddess who never apologized for overflow, a goddess who reminds us that abundance is sacred and that your fullness is your sovereignty. Today we begin with Abundantia. Before she was a whisper in the New Age world or a Pinterest mood board of gold coins and harvest baskets, Abundantia walked through the imagination of ancient Rome as the embodiment of enoughness. She wasn't just a goddess of wealth, she was the pulse of prosperity itself. The spirit of flow made feminine. In Roman mythology, Abundantia often appeared carrying a cornucopia, that iconic horn of plenty, overflowing with grain, fruits, and gold. To the Romans, she wasn't just a symbol of wealth. She was a reassurance that fortune could smile, that nourishment could return after famine, and that life had the audacity to give back. She wasn't tied to just one dramatic myth like some goddesses of Olympus. Instead, she was woven into everyday life. Households invoked her for security, soldiers invoked her for victory spoils, and farmers invoked her for harvest. To put simply, she was the goddess who gave. So you might be wondering what happened to her. Well, Abundantia didn't vanish because of a single mythic drama. She actually faded because the world stopped listening. As Rome fell, the ordinary rhythms of domestic deities, the ones who live in kitchens, gardens, and markets, were disrupted. Abundantia's presence, once as natural as the harvest itself, was quietly erased from daily practice. Then came the rise of Christianity, and early patriarchal structures sought to control and contain spiritual power. Goddesses of abundance, autonomy, and generosity, like Abundantia, were sidelined. Their energy, freely giving and overflowing, was reframed as frivolous or dangerous, of course. And slowly, the living voice of feminine abundance was replaced by doctrines that valued modesty, restraint, and obedience over sovereignty and flow. I'm sure that surprises none of us. Even beyond religion, culture kept her energy at arm's length. Her symbol, the cornucopia, it remained as decoration and a polite nod to her prosperity, but her actual power, her living presence, was just written out of history. Essentially, Abundantia was not destroyed, she was just silenced. And her energy didn't disappear, but it's been waiting. And it's been waiting for women who would remember her and reclaim her and call her back. And that's exactly why we're here today, to let her voice return, to honor her gifts, and to step into the fullness of what she represents. Abundance as sovereignty, generosity as power, and overflowing as divine inheritance. And that's the thread I want us to pull on today. Because when you look at her essence, this regal, generous, radiant presence, you're witnessing a feminine archetype that the world has tried to shrink for millennia. Abundantia never apologized for what poured out of her. She didn't dim her shine so others would feel more comfortable. She didn't ration warmth or power, and she didn't second guess her gifts. She just flowed. And to be real with you, I think that's why her energy is rising again right now, because so many of us are done being polite with our power. We're done shrinking our desires, and we're done being told to settle for crumbs and call it holiness. Abundantia reminds us that spiritually aligned abundance isn't about hoarding. It's about trusting that the universe is wildly, recklessly generative. And you listening in your car or folding your laundry or walking your dog, you are not here to be small about what you desire. Because, as I've said before, the world doesn't need you quiet, babe. It needs you full. I think one of the things that I love the most about Abundantia's story is that it's feminist at its core. Like, she's a reminder that feminine energy has always been generative, powerful, and unapologetic. She teaches us that overflow is your inheritance. She teaches us that our desires are sacred, not sinful, as the patriarchy would like to have you believe. She teaches us that receiving fully is not greed. She teaches us that holding ourselves back is not humility, that's oppression. Her energy was quietly erased, but her archetype is still alive. She is a whisper in the everyday. She is a call to trust and expand. And her presence reminds us that our abundance is our birthright. Now, as promised at the beginning of this episode, we are going to braid her into a little bit of yoga off the mat, the philosophy that reflects her energy perfectly, which is aparigraha, non-grasping, non-hoarding, and trusting the flow. Grasping says, there isn't enough. I must hold on. Releasing says, there's always more. I trust the universe to provide. Grasping collapses your chest. Releasing opens it. Grasping shrinks your soul. Releasing expands it. Abundantia rewards the open-handed, the spacious-hearted. Even a small intention to trust creates alignment with her current. So what does this mean for your actual life? Well, it could mean a few different things. Number one, to stop apologizing for wanting more. To stop rationing your joy. To stop letting guilt shrink your desires into something more reasonable or palatable, especially more reasonable or palatable for others. And to stop performing gratitude in order to earn permission to live fully. Abundantia teaches us that overflow is sustainable, sacred, and of course, sovereign. When a woman is full, she becomes a source, a well, a lighthouse, a multiplier. Your queendom begins the moment you stop clutching crumbs and start claiming the feast. I'm going to say that again. Your queendom begins the moment you stop clutching crumbs and start claiming the feast. Your sovereignty begins when you whisper to the universe, I am ready to receive fully. Maybe you want to say that out loud with me right now. I am ready to receive fully. But a part of being ready to receive fully means that we cannot be grasping. We cannot be clinging. We cannot be holding on so tight out of fear that there will not be something else. That there will not be something else that will come in and take its place, or something better even, right? If you have such a firm grasp, how on earth is your hand ever going to be filled with something different? You have to be willing to let go in order to receive. It's the natural laws of the universe. It's the way it works. We give and receive. Think of it this way, your breath. With every breath you breathe in, you have to breathe out. If you were to breathe in and hold on to that in-breath, eventually it would become unbearable. Just as if you were to breathe out and not breathe in again, eventually it would become unbearable. The natural flow is to give and to take, to breathe in, to breathe out, to hold on, to let go. And knowing when to do each is imperative. But I do want to just share that, sometimes as women, I feel we're kind of taught that the crumbs are all that we're allowed to have. We just need to be grateful. And I do feel that, yes, gratitude is important on our journey. There's no getting around that, right? But I also want to just share that it's okay to also want more. And it's okay to also have desires and want more for yourself. And be grateful for what you have, yes. But also, you don't have to just stay stuck either. You can be grateful for what you have and want more for you. You're allowed. You're allowed to have both. You're allowed to have it all. If you want to have it all, you can have it all. So if you want to move this wisdom through your body, there's a yoga practice waiting for you on my YouTube channel. If you're listening there already, you'll find it linked below this episode. And if you're tuning in from Apple or Spotify, just hop over to YouTube and search at Sovereign with Natalie, and the practice will be right there for you. And if you're not on my email list yet, I invite you to come join us, because every month I honor a different goddess with a ritual that you can do at home, an energetic snapshot of the astrology shaping the month, and an exclusive subliminal crafted specifically for that goddess's frequency. It's free, it's sacred, and it keeps you connected to the living feminine current. And if this episode moved you, stirred something inside, or opened a new perspective, leave a review and share your voice. And until next time, stay sovereign.
Boss ass bitch.
Thank you for walking with me today. Remember, the goddess isn't a myth you're learning. She is a power you are remembering. So go out into the world today and take up your space. Don't filter your truth and don't apologize for who you are. I'm Natalie, and this is Sovereign Reality. Be bold and be authentically and fully you, because the world doesn't need you quiet, babe.